Welcome to the final results. PlayStation versus Sega Saturn. Let's find out who is the best at playing Tomb Raider. And this right here is the title screen for both the Sega Saturn and PlayStation. They both look pretty good. Pretty even. We have our first comment from Zeng Poo George. Saturn's 3D graphics are horrific. No, I don't agree with that. I love Sega Saturn. But I can see that the PlayStation graphics in 3D are definitely better, but it is what it is. You can definitely see the resolution difference. And we have our next comment from Dean Peters. As a child, I had this on Sega Saturn. At the time, I was blown away by the graphics. The guns sounded so realistic, and for me, it was one of the best games around. I always wonder why she followed the footprints of the animal that's about to kill her. I mean, look at that. And our next comment by Jerpy Bot. Saturn was a sweet system, but Tomb Raider looked way better on the PlayStation. Unfortunately, that's probably true. I think the PlayStation does have higher resolution textures. I do like the contrast on the Saturn, though. The PlayStation definitely has polygon distortion. And for our next comment by Kana Hayabusa, who has decided to say, screw it, PC wins. Master PC Race strikes again. I don't know what to say about that. I mean, I've never actually played Tomb Raider on the PC, but I'm willing to bet that's probably the better version of anything. PC always wins. And for our next comment by McDaniel77, Saturn looks superior, nicer colors, fewer graphical glitches. Saturn has more convincing shading, lighting, and better effects, like distortion due to the water effects, which I do agree, you'll see that at the end of the video. The water effects are really nice on the Saturn. And this is for all the ass analysts out there. I mean, check that out. Tell me which one's better, go ahead. And our next comment from Mr. Axe. I remember the Saturn version was heavily pixelated and barely playable compared to the PC version. So here we have a second person that favors the PC version of Tomb Raider. Again, I never actually played that. I do prefer to play Tomb Raider on a gaming controller. I personally played it on the PlayStation. Never beat the game, but that was definitely my console of choice for that game. And our next comment from Rep 5281. Sega Saturn Lara Croft is bloated, and the PlayStation Lara Croft is anorexic. Still, I would have to take the PlayStation version. Well, alright. And right now, Lara Croft is looking around all over the place at the wall. That wall is the most interesting wall in the world. Look at that. This is such a great comparison. Look at that. And for our next comment, it's a dead man's party. At least 60 times better on the Sega hardware than Sony. So this guy right here completely favors the Sega Saturn. Now I'm a Sega Saturn fanboy myself. But I'm not going to probably say that 60 times better, but I do like the Sega Saturn better than the PlayStation, I'll admit. And for our next comment by Stranded Cat, we actually have cats writing comments. This is actually pretty awesome. PlayStation version had sharper 3D graphics, and Sega Saturn version had better shading, I think. Well, you might be right. I think that the PlayStation version had better resolution, and the Sega Saturn had better contrast and a few other things going on. We are crossing the bridge, and we got guns in our hands. We're ready to kill something. See what's going on. I'm watching both the Saturn and the PlayStation at once. It's crazy stuff. Man, I'm getting dizzy looking at this. What a great comparison. Look at that. And our next comment from Ryan Phillips. I have a feeling I'm not going to like this one too much. Basically, the Saturn version is terrible. The sounds alone are enough to make me want to smash it. Please do not smash a Sega Saturn. I'm going to hide my Sega Saturn from you, buddy. I can't believe you're going to smash a Sega Saturn. Look at this game. Look at the Sega Saturn version. Look at the bear. Look at that thing. That bear is going to frickin' kill whatever goes down there. You better stay up there, Lara Croft. What the hell? She killed the bear. Oh, now we're magically in a bedroom. Check that out. I don't know how that happened. Look at the texture differences. Look at that. And for our next comment from Ender Skies. Saturn version of Lara Croft looks like some kind of fat-thighed tumbler land whale, and I actually had to look up what land whale was, by the way. And the Urban Dictionary likes to sum it up as a fat bitch. Yeah, honestly, I honestly don't think that Lara Croft on the Saturn's a fat bitch, but man, if it wasn't for Urban Dictionary, I wouldn't know what half the things are nowadays. I mean, thank God for Urban Dictionary. Check out those graphics. Look at that. And our next comment from Alvaro Ubaldini. I apologize if I got your name wrong. The PlayStation have better graphics, but Sega Saturn better colors. And, that might be right again. I mean, the PlayStation appears to have better resolution. And once again, the Saturn does appear to have better contrast. Looks like Lara Croft is about to ready to play some music, and that Yamaha audio chip in the Saturn is about ready to kick some ass. And our next comment from Almudu Wachuku. This was a good comparison, especially considering that the Sega Saturn was more of a 2D machine than a 3D machine. And that is correct. The Sega Saturn was originally supposed to be only a 2D machine, and somehow, at the last second, it became a 3D machine. I've even heard that the Sega Saturn actually uses the sound chip for 3D graphics too, which is pretty damn crazy. The Sega Saturn was such a bitch to program for that somehow the sound chip can be used as a graphic processor. And our next comment from TBB033. They both look like ass. Come on. This is from like 1996. What do you expect? It looks pretty damn good for 96. Think about it. Yeah, look at those 32-bit railings and that rug and that wall. And Lara Croft, look at that. Looks pretty damn good to me. I'll play that game right now. And our next comment from Vuta Spencer. We got more ass comments coming up here. He decided to write, I love that ass. And I guess a lot of people like 32-bit PlayStation and Sega Saturn asses. I can't say anything about that. If that's what you like, that's what you like. I once knew a person that owned Dreamcast that used to brag about Lara Croft's ass in Tomb Raider Last Revelation. Look. And our next comment from V Games for Life 3. Okay. This is a very interesting comment. This individual decided to write, I love the Nude Raider porn site I found when I was 10 years old after playing the game. Nice pictures. What the hell were you doing looking at porn at the age of 10? That's pretty bad. I'm actually more interested to know, did you get malware from this? And for our next comment from Chunk Whiz, Horror Whiz. I always wondered how Tomb Raider would look if it was ported to the Nintendo 64. Now that would be an interesting thing. In fact, back in the day, it was actually a hot topic of whether or not Nintendo was going to try to bring Tomb Raider over to the Nintendo 64. There was actually articles about this. And in the article, they actually mentioned that it was a mistake for the Nintendo 64 not to have the Final Fantasy VII game. It's actually a pretty interesting article. So during this portion of the game, you actually learn how to jump and maneuver your character around. Back then, on the PlayStation and Saturn, typically moving your character around wasn't the easiest thing in the world. It was a bitch to play most of the time. Are you ready? Are you ready for box art wars? Oh my god, look at this. It's Sega Saturn box art versus PlayStation box art. Lara Croft. Who's better? Let me think about this. I can tell you that the PlayStation, I do like the black trim around the whole case and everything. The white trim kind of throws me off a little bit, but you get a little bit of legs on the Sega Saturn box art, and that kind of looks nice. I'm going to go with the Sega Saturn box art. Now right here, you want to pay attention to the water effects on the Sega Saturn. The water effects on the Sega Saturn definitely far more superior than the PlayStation. Now watch this, Lara Croft is swimming around in circles. And once you get up to the surface, where you can see above the water, you'll see in a second, you can see that the Sega Saturn version actually has a wavy effect. The PlayStation version does not. Nonetheless, I'm going to have to give it to the PlayStation. I think PlayStation won this because, of course, this game's most popular on PlayStation.